All right, so we're still in part one, pages 51 through 56, and we're back to Ray. And I think this chapter was really interesting because, again, that term juxtaposition, where we're seeing characters that we've already seen that were minor characters when Hideki was speaking. So they're all basically sitting around eating this barbecue, but Ray just can't understand how everyone just seems like nothing's happened. They're all eating, laughing, joking, and he's like, not only did we just kill a 12-year-old boy, we just saw one of our other soldiers die. Like, how can you guys continue on the way you are? It just doesn't make sense. And so he starts talking to his sergeant about it. His sergeant actually notices him and wants to check up on him, which is a great sign of a good leader, by the way. So he's checking on him. He's saying, how are you feeling? And they said, well, listen, we all have had to just push on. We've seen so much death. And he says, kind of what I said last time, like if you sit there and mourn over and over and over, it'll just consume you. There's not much left. And he's like, we've seen all these wars. We've seen good men die, and we can't let ourselves be crazy. We've had to harden ourselves to this. And at which time, one of the guys, I guess Ray, starts talking to the sergeant about how sometimes the people that think about it too much get what he calls the 1,000-yard stare. And it's just this staring off into the middle of nowhere. Like they're just lost in their thought. It's a depression, PTSD symptom. It's just shutting down, basically, because they've seen so much and they're so affected by it. And so instead of saying, yeah, just like Starks over there, see how he's staring off? He's like, hey, Starks, grab me a hunk of that pig, will you? And Stark's like, yeah, sure, Sergeant. And he just kind of looks back over at Ray, like, did you see that? Did you see what Starks was doing? That's what's going to happen if you keep worrying about this. And the lieutenant comes over, says, hey, we heard there's a bunch of soldiers possibly hiding out in this cave. You got to go flush them out. Now, this is that dramatic irony that we've also talked about, because when I read it, the first thing I thought was, oh no, Hideki and the other boys are hiding in a cave too, so he's gonna go kill them. But instead, what we find is that as the people come running out, it's people holding a baby and families, which we've already seen those characters. Remember, Hideki refused to help them. He wanted to, but the other boys said, no, go away. So we've seen these people already. They were minor characters in the last section. And Ray stops. He's like, whoa, 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 wait. These are civilians. We're not supposed to kill them. But as we know from the first chapter, as Hideki's getting his training, the Okinawans were taught that the Americans were there to kill everyone, that they would spare no mercy, they would spare no one. They were just going to kill everyone in their path. So what they don't know is they're trying to plead with these Okinawans, like, hey, you're fine, we're not going to hurt you, we're not going to hurt you. The Okinawans have already been almost brainwashed or trained to believe that that's all that the Americans are there for. And so while he's trying to plead with them that they're okay, all these people committed suicide at the same time. Basically, they just jumped off the cliff. Um, and he doesn't understand why they would do that. He actually says they were so terrified of him and the other Marines that they would rather kill themselves than be captured because they think that's what's going to happen to them. Um, and so they go in, they check, make sure no one else is there, and then they say, all right, let's get back to our barbecue. And Ray he can't stomach it. He has seen so much death in one day and so many innocent lives lost that he can't handle it.